I would like to share with you some insight as to why this incredible woman, Christie Robinson, is being inducted into the Hall of Fame this evening. So I'll awe you with a few more impressive statistics, but more importantly, I'll get into the woman behind the statistics. So before I begin, I want to acknowledge some important facts, and that's the established environment at MSU Denver that Christie was stepping into in the fall of 2008 was really ahead of its time. It was built upon a foundation and belief that all people from all walks of life deserve a chance to pursue their educational goals. And that fact made MSU Denver a great fit. Because did I mention, while Christie was putting up All-American numbers, she was not only a full-time student, she was the mother of a 1-year-old. So within the athletic department, the situation that Joan McDermott had created, it was just an amazing group of people that Joan had assembled. And I still remember going into Joan's office and explaining, we had this recruit, Christie, and she had a young child, and Joan, without hesitation, said, if you want her, let's figure it out, let's make this work. And Joan was breaking barriers in her own right, so why wouldn't Joan support and encourage this young mom who still had plenty of athlete left inside of her? Also another Hall of Fame inductee this evening, Debbie Hendricks, who mentored me and taught me so much about how to be an ally to your student athletes. She was my biggest supporter and my cheerleader, and she was right in the midst of becoming a Hall of Famer herself. And when I arrived, and she just unselfishly shared so much with me. And I was young. I was young and on fire. And Joan and Debbie, these amazing women in our department, they really helped set the stage for Christie's success. So I would like to acknowledge and thank them. And without them, we really wouldn't even be here this evening. So thank you. So some of Christie's accomplishments are a career 2.08 ERA, that's third all time. However, she's in first for modern era pitchers. So the mound was moved back 3 feet and the ball was made more lively in 1991. So Christie's career ERA is first in the modern era. She's second all time in fewest walks per 7 innings. She's sixth in innings pitched and had nearly 400, and she's seventh in starts. She had 61 in her career at MSU Denver, which 6th and 7th, it's like, yeah, that's okay. But she did it in 2 years, and every pitcher that's ahead of her had 4 years to do it. So what this means is C-Rob, as we called her, a typical season in softball is about 60 games, and so for her 2 years, Christie was in the circle for about half the games. Half the time that we took the field, she was in the circle. And this kid that she knew how to win. She owns, as the video said, 1 and 2 for all-time wins in a season. She pitches to victory 25 times in 2009, and in 2010, 30 wins. 61 times she was called upon to start the game, and she finished 54 of those games, complete games. So that's really kind of unheard of. Obviously, there was a team of people behind Christie, being that she actually wasn't a huge strikeout pitcher, which is sometimes surprising, but her defense made plays behind her, and a powerful and dynamic offense scored runs for her. But she also played her own style of defense, and you guys have kind of seen the running video, but I remember one time, it wasn't on there, but there was this little pop-up, and nobody was going to get to it. And Christie just dove, like white jersey, just completely dirty, like from the pitcher. And she just gets up and she like hoses the girl at first and doubles her off, and everyone's just like, what just happened? The pitcher dove off the mound. It's just something that you don't see. But that's how Christie played defense, and there was just no quit in her. We were talking earlier, and was saying that she was clumsy, which is a total lie, because one time we were playing the slow pitch. We were playing the St. Jude's fundraiser, and it was a slow pitch event, and we happened to stick Christie out in right field, and there's this ball, and she just like tracks it down, catches it, turns, and just fires it home, and it like doubles the girl off at home, and everyone's like, what is going on? So Christie could have, I mean, truly probably could have played any position on the field. She was that much of an athlete. So but to be a Hall of Fame athlete, you need to be a good athlete, but first, I will say she was a Hall of Fame person. So everything I've talked about is more about her as an athlete, but when I thought back to our time together and I reminisced about C-Rob with some of her former teammates and staff, there were many lessons that Christie the person taught us. The first, I think, thing that she taught us was to take risks and be vulnerable and trust. She took a huge risk when she chose Metro State, and she was halfway across the country from home with a baby, but lucky for us, she was a trusting person, and she opened herself up, and it really worked out great. She also grew to trust this amazing young man who began as just a friend, and he was kind-hearted and chivalrous and a classmate, and he was waiting in the wings for Christie. He could often be seen carrying her bag for her and sitting in the stands just smiling quietly as he showed his support of his friend. And we were all wondering, like, Christie, he's so tall and handsome, and like, come on. And she's like, we're just friends. But eventually their friendship grew into more, and this amazing man, Brady, became her husband and Jaden's father, and their two children, beautiful children, Eli and India, are here tonight. So that was a pretty neat thing that happened. The next lesson Christie taught us was, no matter what, be resilient. When life knocks you down, there's no sense wallowing in the mud. Just get back up and keep moving forward. And there was a quote that I always thought of when I think of Christie, and it says, "This thing we call failure is not the falling down, but the staying down." And Christie just could not be kept down. If she would fall down, she would just get right back up. I remember in 2009, in the regional, we had won the regular season, we won the conference tournament, and I think Christie had food poisoning or some kind of a bug, and we're playing at Regis, and literally in between innings, she's like in the dugout puking her guts out. And it was awful, and it was 90 degrees. I think Rushy, our All-American second baseman, was concussed from the conference tournament, and I remember Amber and Tara hit balls in the deepest corner of the park at Regis that like hit the very top of the fence and would have cleared the fence by 20 feet probably on most fields, but Regis had kind of this funky corner, and there was no excuse. That calamity of coincidences in 2009, we probably would have had a great shot, at least at the Super Regional, if not the World Series. But Christie really spent zero time worrying about this, and she just simply looked forward to the next season, and she really calmly, she said, we're going to get him. We're going to get him next year, Coach. And then she just went about it. And that's how she just lived her life. So the next lesson she taught us was work hard, be humble, and respect the squad. Like, the squad comes first, and that was always Christie. In the Hall of Fame article, she was quoted as saying, "To me, there were no stars. We were all stars." And that's not like some trumped up thing. Christie believed that, and I still remember, I'm probably going to cry because this is so special, but our last game in 2010, she wasn't even crying. She just had no regret, no animosity or blame for unfairness, and she just generally honored her pitching counterparts. And she told the press, "I can't wait for you all to see Brittany Moss and the rest of these players next year. And they're going to be really good." And she just believed it so much, and she believed in all of her teammates. She really didn't think she was anything too special. She thought it was the team. And of course, in a lot of ways, it was the team. When we got back to Colorado from that NCAA tournament, we had a banquet, and in her senior speech, she graciously remembered everyone. Coach Becerra, we called her the shot caller. She was studying opponents and calling all of Christie's pitches, and Budge was her catcher, just a faithful catcher that just caught every single pitch. The tools of ignorance, Budge was back there with the tools of ignorance, they call them. If you don't know baseball, okay, sorry, but look it up, okay. It's what they call it, like tools of ignorance. Okay, so anyway, and then she just had an incredible defense behind her. She had Tara, Amber, Sarah, Hobb, Janessa, Molly, Kelly, Kristen, Danny, Jesse, her pitching staff that backed her up, Julia, Brittany, and Aubrey. So it was really a team. But she also thanked the rest of the squad. Coach Madrill, our pitching guru, Coach Padge, outfield specialist, Andy Schlichting, Eric Lansing, media magicians. They were much as a part of the team as the coaches and the players. And then there were the moms. Christie didn't forget anyone who helped her graduate and be a huge success, so she truly valued each member. The next thing she taught us was to lead by example, and that actions speak much louder than words. And Christie was she was a leader on a team full of leaders. But she wasn't a big talker, so I think she had these kind of like womanly, worldly experiences that made her almost like more mature than just a girl. So she didn't really have to talk about stuff. She was a doer. She took full control of her own attitude, her own effort, her own work ethic, and her own demeanor. And this woman was somebody to emulate from the moment she stepped on campus. She never really had to use her voice to explain anything. She was 100% action and 0%. She was 0% talk. So the last thing that I think Christie really taught us was just to make each day your masterpiece. This was a quote from John Wooden that we really believed in. And we were at the national tournament, and there was, in our first game, there were 20 illegal pitches called on us, and this was kind of this weird thing that the umpires hadn't been calling all year, and it happened in Division I and Division II. And so when you go to the national tournament, if you lose on day one, then you have a day off. And Christie had been pitching most of her life, and this is like the second to last day of her career. And she's not making any excuse. She's not mad. She's not upset. She's just calmly and intently working on changing her motion. And to try to appease this kind of like rule that's being haphazardly applied. And you would think that she would have been defeated or given up, and she confidently led us all the way into the semifinal game. And this was a big test of character. And because she was who she was, this is why she's a Hall of Famer. And to this day, I tell my teams that story about Christie, trying to keep her foot down, like fixing her motion. And she just never, ever gave up, and she never stopped learning. Even on the last day of her softball career, she was still working. So, Christie, it was my highest honor to be your coach, and you and your teammates gave this kind of like old coach, middle-aged coach, some of the happiest and most gratifying years of my life. And 2010 was a magical season I'll never forget. It was a once-in-a-lifetime run that I could never hope to emulate. So your leadership, your example, and the way you led this team, it reminds me of a favorite poem. It's by William Murray. It's called Until One is Committed. Until one is committed, there's hesitancy, the chance to draw back, and always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there's one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from that one decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents. meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. Whatever you can do or dream that you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. See, Rob, we're so proud of you. Thank you for the amazing memories. Thank you for trusting and believing in me. Thank you for committing, because it's so true. Boldness does have genius, power, and magic in it. That magic was real, and I lived it with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Fisher. Metropolitan State University of Denver, the athletic department, coaching staff, my team, and my family. It is indeed an honor for me to be here tonight. Before MSU Denver, I spent 2 years playing softball at UNLV from 2005 to 2007. In 2007, my son Jaden was born at a weight of 2 pounds, 5 ounces. A couple of days later, 1 pound, 15 ounces. Jaden spent 2 months in the NICU, where the doctors predicted future health challenges. He made a full recovery. I suppose there are several paths I could have taken after having my son. Ultimately, I knew I needed to give him the best life possible, and to begin to do that, I needed to finish my education. I also had a strong desire to continue to compete in the sport I loved. So with Jaden by my side, I enrolled in classes and returned to the field. Too often, the tendency of a person is to turn away from someone who is different or going through something that is different. What makes MSU unique is that they don't. From my first introduction to MSU and Coach Fisher, Coach Milliken, Joan McDermott and the team, I felt embraced and invested in. And while I wouldn't recommend you trying to play softball, go to school, and be a new parent simultaneously, it's my story, and it's the path I chose. I am so thrilled to be here. This is so emotional for me. In 2008, by the time Jaden was 1, practice was in full motion, and I quickly learned that it wasn't just me who had something to prove. I was surrounded by a team who worked hard every day, pushed me to be better, never made excuses, did the little things right, and wanted to win. Even better, they were genuinely a joy to be around. That group of girls brought so much light and love into my life. This affection bolstered me when life as a single mother athlete was not always easy. 2008 is also when I met my amazing husband, Bradford, in a business management class. Steadily, Jaden's family was growing. My team, and now Bradford, provided essential support to help me achieve my goals and give Jaden the life I envisioned. By the fall of 2009, the team was back at it, working harder than ever. In the spring of 2010, there was literally no stopping us. A 53-6 record, 112 home runs, and the loudest dugout and best fans this side of the Rocky Mountains. It was electric. Every moment with this team was confirmation that I chose the right path. I'll sum up my takeaways from my time as a Roadrunner. First off, it was Henry Ford that said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's as simple as that. If you were to ask how I did it, given my circumstances at the time, I'd probably share various thoughts on this. But the main point is, I never thought I couldn't. Second, don't be afraid to take a risk, to aim high and to fail. You will never know your potential if you don't make the attempt. The universe has a way of helping you along a rocky path if you are not afraid to take it. Finally, I will say, life at MSU was a beautiful blend of joy and challenge. Looking back, the lessons I learned from those challenges provided a foundation on which to grow into a better athlete, better teammate, and a better person. So no matter what happens in your life, show up, stay the course, or chart a new path. Don't give up. I didn't give up, and amazing things took place. I was part of this incredible championship team. I graduated college. I met my husband, and now I'm standing here. MSU Denver attracts the best people, and I'm ever so grateful to each individual who has impacted my time here and, inevitably, my life. The sports administration, Elaine Becks, Eric Lansing, Andy Schlichting, Joan McDermott, and others, Lauren, Janessa, Molly, Tara, Amber, my entire team's parents and families, Coach Madrill, Coach Milliken, Coach Becerra, Coach Paget, and Coach Fisher. Thank you so much. Thank you, MSU, for this incredible honor.